cult members, and welcome to the Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And welcome, Whovians, to our Doctor Who review. We just got back from Vegas late this afternoon.
Yes.
Las Vegas. Las Vegas. And we're ready for bed, but we had to get our Doctor Who fix on.
Yes, absolutely.
A little housekeeping for this episode. I don't know how we talk about this episode without talking spoilers. So we're going to do a little bit of non-spoiler talk, general stuff and whatever, and then we'll get into much more of a spoiler kind of conversation.
Yep.
We'll let you know when we get to that point. So if you haven't seen the episode, just come back, go watch the episode, come back, talk, and we can all talk.
Why are you here?
I appreciate it. Like, we greatly appreciate it, but we also, you need to watch this episode.
Yes.
So with that being said, let's get into some non-spoiler talk-ish. So last week's episode was good.
Yes.
But it was a good episode. I wasn't upset, whatever. And 2 weeks ago was an okay episode with the Paradise.
Yeah, I liked
Resort.
it more than you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But this episode is amazing. Like, we've been talking about it a little bit about how it's been very kind of jovial is not the right word, but we haven't had like a really serious.
Yeah, I mean, there was, towards the end of last season, but definitely concerns last season about the un-who-ness
yes.
of it. It was, they kind of stepped a little too far away.
Yeah, and they've definitely brought, they have made a decision to come back around to the Whovians who are here.
Yeah.
And I understand their shot that they took last year, but this season has been just one after another of going back and showing you the big shiny thing that's what we love out of Doctor Who.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
And this episode was another example of that. And they having the Judoon, it's in the freaking name of the episode, the Fugitive of the Judoon. So having the name, the Judoon, and having them, and they were practical.
Yeah.
They were practical, before, but like they were really cool.
Yeah, I felt like they were better. I was like, sometimes you feel like maybe they're just going to go use the costumes or the robots, the Daleks, whatever from past seasons. But these looked, they looked updated, and their lips moved, and they looked really good.
Yeah, it was really well. Like there was a couple different times where they did some shot with when they were inside the cathedral and in Glastonbury, and then with the June, and there was a lighthouse shot where the Doctor's coming up the stairs into the lighthouse, and they're doing a drone. I know it's a drone shot, but it's a circle shot on the outside around to show the Doctor at the top of the light. Like they're putting time and effort into making it look really cool,
and money, obviously,
and they're also having really good stories to go with it. And so, like, people like us who are going to run around and tell everybody how good the season is, they're going to come back around to it, or they're going to pick it up for the first time. And I think maybe, it'd be really easy for us to sit there and say, go back, watch last season. You get introduced to a new Doctor. It's a good jumping off point.
Yeah. And it was definitely telling you who the companions were and their relationship to each other and everything. But yes, we have moved on, and I am happy about that.
I am too. This episode, it again, with the non-spoilery kind of talk about it, it's a good. We had the first two episodes with the Master that was a great jumping off point for the season, and then we've had continuation of adding a little bit more and adding a little bit more and adding a little bit more to the overall story.
It starts off with the Doctor just very focused and kind of ignoring the fam, and she's looking for something, and they finally get out of her that she's looking for the Master. And I think it's been a couple weeks since we've talked about the Master, so it's good to kind of
just remind
still
everybody
out there.
Headphones off. That he's out there. He's out there. He's a he, not right now.
now.
But that idea of of the fam sitting the doctor down and saying, hey, listen, you can talk to us. We can be here for you. And no matter what you were before and what you will be in the future, we're here with you now, and we trust you, and you're the doctor, and we're here for you.
Yep.
And I thought that was a really kind of cool, definitive thing that they put into place. We've been talking about how the companions have had a couple of episodes where in the back, the back, like last week, we had the Tesla episode, and it was pretty much Doctor and Tesla. And this weekend, this episode was a lot about the Doctor and the companion of the week, which happened to be Ruth. Non-spoilers of who Ruth ends up being, but the idea that the companions were kind of, again, a secondary character, but they made a point of like saying, no, they're here.
We're here.
We're here, and we're here for you, for the Doctor, and stuff like that.
Yeah, that also, there's been a couple of things said and kind of the way they've been said that made me feel like over the last couple episodes, maybe somebody was leaving soon.
Yeah.
So I guess this was just a good...
Again, with the conversation we had last week about with the Tesla stuff, is Tesla's assistant was like, "Is it always this crazy?"
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And they all made a point of saying, and that's why we love doing it. And this episode was very much the companion saying, "We know it's crazy. We know it's dangerous." And every companion has to go through this point. It has to go through this process of figuring out, am I okay with this? And some people weren't. Like Martha wasn't okay with it, and Donna didn't want to leave, but the Doctor decided that she couldn't really be there. And he had to make a point of like telling her she couldn't be there.
Right.
And Martha made a point of leaving and stuff. So. And then, just like we said, it was shot really cool, and it added a whole bunch of stuff, which is just going to lead us into the spoiler conversation because we have to talk about it. So spoilers from here on out. Thank you for the 7 minutes if you've listened this far. If you're going to stick around, we're going to spoil the crap out of this episode.
Yep.
Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, spoilers. We get Captain Jack Harkness. Are you kidding me? Oh, my God. They teased us all of last season with stuff, and okay.
And we obviously followed John all over social media, and he kept saying things that was like, "Is he coming back?" And then he didn't, and they were like, "Oh, okay," and then ba-bam.
To be fair, there really wasn't a point with the story they were telling last season to have Captain Jack in the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Now we have the Master, we have the Judoon, we have Captain Jack Harkness, and they make a point of saying all of the stuff that's happened, like there's something coming. The Doctor says there's something coming for me.
Yes.
And it's directly connected with a lot of the stuff from my past. And this episode, Jack delivers a message to the companions, to the fam, about the Cyberman.
Right.
And
then one of the hunters, we thought she was the client, but she wasn't, with the Judoon, is actually Gallifreyan.
Yeah.
And she runs into herself, except herself and herself don't recognize each other.
Yeah,
so something's happening with time.
Yes. So time is all kind of screwed up for the Doctor. Ruth in this episode is a hidden into plain sight Time Lord.
Right.
And she is the Doctor. But she is a doctor that, and they talk about how neither one of them remember each other.
Right.
So how can this be? They're the same person.
Right. And they have to be in each other's futures, but that doesn't work either.
That doesn't work either. and so we have two TARDISes, two identical TARDISes. TARDISes. We have the same Doctor in different forms. We have Captain Jack, we have Cybermen, we have the Master. Somebody's messed up time, and I would not be surprised if it's the Daleks. This is how you introduce the Daleks back, is how they screwed up time, all the different somehow, and
okay.
Or she's in the. Now we're just gonna do some wild speculation here. She's in the prison she's in a prison where they're keeping, like, remember how they did with Capaldi?
Yeah.
And he was having to, like, solve the puzzle every time and punch his way. I love that episode, and I never remember what it's called. Yeah, so please tell us in the comments. Be nice. Requirement. Subscribe, hit the bell, all that kind of stuff. ABC and bitches. But I wonder if, like, it could be like a forced dream state where she's like they're introducing, like, they're trying to break her down, and something happens from her past.
Maybe the fam isn't actually here.
It isn't here, yeah.
And that's how they, because that's how they get rid of them.
We keep trying to get rid of the companions, and it's really shitty of us.
They kind of not trying to get rid of them, but they kind of dropped one of those Dr. Whovian hints where you come back a season or two later and you're like, oh my God, they were telling us then. Now that's definitely a Moffat thing to do. But, and then in one of the previews this week, like when on commercial or whatever, there was somebody said something like, I can't keep doing this or something. And that's, again, made me think like they're going to get rid of them.
Yeah. I don't know. The introduction of Captain Jack is 1,000% fan service.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
thank you.
1,000%.
Thank you.
1,000% fan service in all of the right ways.
Yeah.
He is one of the most beloved companions that we have ever had.
Yeah.
In John Borman specifically, because of who he is in the con circuit and his contributions to the LGBTQ etc. community and everything else that he's done. Having him back on the show and playing right into thinking that it was Graham. Because he knows that the previous Doctor was older with gray hair and stuff like that. Yeah. So him like just jumping on top of Graham, and Graham's like,
what?
And then them playing into, no, it's a girl. And Jack's like, oh, I gotta see this. And so then they get Yaz there, and so it's like Yaz and Yaz, Graham. Oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God. We drank a lot this week.
Oh, I just had it. Yes.
Him filling in the Mickey role of kind of.
We drank a lot this weekend.
Bickering with, like, just fell right into the Mickey role of being the butt of the jokes and shooting back at Jack. That's another fan service moment of like, oh yeah, there was that one companion or kind of part-time companion that was always there. Mm-hmm. Ryan, Jesus Christ. I knew if I kept talking, it'd come out.
Tired.
Tired. We've kind of talked about the time thing and what we think it is, but what we know right now is that the Doctor is very fixated on Gallifrey being destroyed for a second time, being very infatuated with the Master, which has happened in the past, but not to this level that I remember. Like, Capaldi's Doctor tried to save Missy, and he did. Like, he really did.
Yeah, well, because until Gallifrey came back and then was destroyed again, the Master and the Doctor were the only two left.
Right.
So that's kind of what made their whole, throughout time relationship. But I don't know. I mean, he was pretty intense with Saxon. When he thought that Saxon was alive.
Tennant tried really hard to save Saxon multiple times. And Saxon redeemed himself a little bit, but then he went full, he's the Master, so he went full Master and everything. The stuff going on with Gallifrey makes me think that there's something to do with the mental prison and stuff like that. But it's kind of hard to sit there because they keep, like we keep saying, they've thrown stuff out there, so we're not really sure.
Yeah.
Which is which and which is what.
Split in the timeline. Yeah.
I keep thinking that it's the if you believe in the circuits of time or the timeline, you take one little the butterfly effect. You take one little thing out, whatever. Right. Well, if all those timelines are merging with each other somehow,
they cause a temporal rift.
Yeah. There's a crack in the universe. We need to leave. But the first thing I said when this episode was over and the fam did their speech about "We're here with you," which is a great single shot, by the way, with the three of them, kind of hands to their hips, kind of telling the doctor like, "No, we're not leaving." Where was I going with this? The doctor, Gallifrey,
and the fam. At the end, we're all here for you.
The first thing I said after the episode was Chibnall went and spent a month with Moffat.
Yeah,
this is Moffat kind of storytelling.
Yeah,
which it's not like it, but it has all of the earmarks of Moffat style storytelling with the. Like we're talking about with the Easter eggs and the hints and the misdirections
and that's what we loved about Moffat. Right now, he has a tendency to start things he doesn't finish, which is frustrating for a longtime fan. But his little Easter eggs were definitely one of the best parts of his writing. So
laying down plot, major plot details 3 or 4 seasons before they actually happen.
Yeah, well, maybe not 3 or 4 seasons, because typically didn't have Doctors that long, but at least like a season.
Yeah.
The previous season, and then
And so there was just it was just stuff like that that we really loved about Moffat, and so this is kind of doing that same thing. And Chibnall's, again, we've talked about it, and I just want to mention again. I don't want to get preached at, but Doctor Who has been preachy in the past, but I don't want to get preached blatantly preached at, and stuff. And they've leaned away from that, which has been really refreshing, which I really appreciate. But if you're going to lean away from that a little bit, you need to tell a good story, and you need to have a good overall story, which is what we didn't have last year.
Yes, exactly. That was the big complaint from last year, was there was no real underlying overall season story.
There is something going on now.
Yeah.
And so we got a preview for next week. I watched it. They kind of hint at it at the end after the fam do their speech. There's 3 alerts on 3 different continents at the same time.
Right.
And then the preview talks about there's 2 identical murders on 2 different continents and how they be connected and stuff.
Okay.
And somebody took off. There was somebody like it looked like a plague era like suit with the mask.
Yeah. Okay.
And they pulled the mask off, and it looked like bone was like growing on the outside of their face or something like
weird.
that. Yeah, it was a little weird. And
birds. Next week will probably be a down episode, right? I mean, I guess we don't know because it's not Moffat, it's Chibnall, but historically, there's been one of these.
Davies did it too.
Yeah, I guess Davies did do it too. He'd do like one, and then they go away, and you really wouldn't talk about it again for an episode or 2, and then all of a sudden something will pop up again. So
I would not be surprised, since they talk about murder and there was birds and she was running on a beach. Like this might be like a Hitchcock kind of feel kind of episode. Okay. We haven't had a murder mystery, one kind of. Yeah. We kind of had a monster one, but we haven't had a horror one yet. The monster one was the resort kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I wouldn't be surprised if this is that murder mystery horror kind of episode kind of thing. So that's our thoughts on this week's episode. Some wild speculation and everything else. So what did you guys think of this episode called The Fugitive of the Judoon? I kept saying it in my head, so I'm going to keep saying it out loud because I said Judoon right. I love the way they did their transition from Judoon, the and the one lady talks to him.
Yeah,
and he gets the translation. Yeah. He puts it in his chest.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, okay, cool.
Thank you. We can now understand you.
Yay! It's the whole panning in on the Hunt of Red October. Like we're like, It's a device just so we can do it all in English because we don't want to read subtitles.
Right.
So that was our review of the episode, like I was trying to say, and then I got distracted. Let us know what you thought in the comments. If you're on the podcast feed, please subscribe to our podcast feed. We're doing stuff there all the time. If you're on YouTube, please like this video, leave nice comments. That is a requirement. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications. Also, help us out on all the social media stuff. Facebook, Instagram, sometimes Twitter. All those links to all those websites are in the description down below. And until next time, now we have to go watch this episode like 6 more times, 'cause I'm sure there's something we missed.
Yes.
Good night, cult members.